I remember booting up the old Silver Whale console. Man, what a blast from the past. Blowing the dust off the CD, grabbing the L01 with multi-adapter and settling down for a good old-fashioned game sesh. Well, at least I think it was a CD. Cartridge? Well, either way, every Friday, me and my friends, cousins, friends? Me and some of the guys would, boot up our favorite rusty punk body horror game, Devil Shell. At least I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. What is it? Yeah. To recall and to forget. Both a blessing and a curse in their own rights, depending on the memory in question. But imagine a perfect recall. Imagine direct and instant transference of mental images. Imagine the impact of physically storing and trading memories in a society where the currency is information. The mind unit. The means to store information and memories from individuals directly. An imperfect but vitally important technology that may have begun with the old world and may have been part of its downfall. Throughout the entire book, there are only 4 pages that show images of the world, unlike the one we're familiar with within GODHUSK. Faded pictures with blurry scan lines scattered about descriptions of the 2 types of mind units. So, with that said, this, along with much of the book itself, is up to interpretation and speculation, which I personally find is part of the fun of exploring the world or, speculating about it. How would it work? The first type of mind unit is INF, short for information, which is the most common mind unit exchanged with those who value information for goods and services. It's suggested that this is the collectible sort of currency of the game, and what we would use to purchase goods from NPCs and stores within GODHUSK, like the butcher. Mind units are obtained by extracting them or receiving them from other vessels. Whenever a mind unit is traded, it is copied from the hand to the other vessel and vice versa, with that unit being accessible at any time by the original giver. A point to note in the description of mind units is that they are not acquired by natural means, which could imply they are, unnaturally taken from individuals, or that the mind units themselves, maybe potentially like the 7 Angels, were acquired via external forces or, discovery, and are not in fact made or designed by the people who use them. Whatever the case, the rarer of the 2 is the second type, the memory unit or mem unit. And it is this mind unit that reveals the most about the past to us within these 4 pages I mentioned. Mem units are unique individuals' memories, images, footage, audio, or a mixture compressed into a physical format. The book says even moments or thoughts can be instantly captured. This is an interesting thing to note because it's not just the idea of captured footage like a GoPro for your brain, but it's also thoughts. Thoughts which can be, interpretable or unreliable or biased, depending on how these thoughts are captured and displayed. I just like the idea that the technology is so advanced that it's able to do this, but if you're able to use or exchange thoughts in that form, can it really be used like evidence, or how does using it in other ways work? It becomes a bit dubious. Scattered around are snapshots from mem units, and as far as I can tell, it's images of people. Human people. Culture in the form of what appears to be like a poster or a music CD depicting like a feminine sort of figure, legs up with plant life behind them? Like green leaves? Like leaves? Even more striking, above is the image of a crust explorer standing under sunlight with a blue sky stretching onwards behind them. a sky, an actual sky. This, as the others, may just be depictions of the old world, representations. But if they are memories of the old world, centuries prior to all that we see, then the world that it was a lot closer to our own than expected. The key humanoid figures here are the crust explorer, the Scythian collectors, and the machinist. The crust explorer and Scythian collectors are geared up in some serious outfits. Scythian collectors are kitted out with helmets, cables, wires, and bags. They're strapped up in this desert punk style, sort of part military, part survivalist. Collecting Scythian life is an interesting occupational role to serve because, as we know, centuries later, the Scythians have sort of run rampant across the outer crust. This may mean that back then it was far less common, smaller and simpler. Maybe it was just a cluster of red fungi or in very difficult to reach areas. It could have been a potential food or a fuel, a recycler of matter like compost. Potentially, maybe it creates oxygen. Who knows? Who knew? But important enough to designate people specifically to collect it. These collectors also most likely worked in tandem with the crust explorers, dressed in a lighter garb more appropriate for hot temperatures and mobility. Appears to be wearing a mask as well, but with one human-looking eye exposed. This mask may be due to issues with oxygen or habitability already within the world, or simply just ease of breathing in an alien desert. Or native desert, as these figures are possibly the original people of that place before it fell into disarray. The fact it also says crust explorer and not outer crust explorer I find interesting, as they may seem to mean the same thing, or I wonder if perhaps the outer crust that we see was formed by the Scythian life afterward and encasing the world here that's displayed. Almost multi-layered, like it's grown around the previous crust. Just a thought. So there's an established effort to explore, research, and or gather resources from this crust region by the people of GODHUSK. Our final humanesque figure is the machinist. Similarly adorned in wires and a helmet, the machinist has a more worker's armourer look to them with padded attire and an apron. This bright yellow apron also has a very simple, cartoonish looking mushroom on the front of it. This could just be a cute addition, and I'd hazard it's more Plastiboo inspired by the works of Dorohedoro, which I probably said wrong, which features gritty, rustic, apocalyptic punk aesthetics and mushrooms heavily throughout. It's also great. I really like that style. I love the artist. I also think it probably refers to the Scythian life, as there is a lot of fungal aspects in GODHUSK as well. Perhaps it was the popularity of Scythian life potential, or these new fungal discoveries being adopted and marketed by the old world masses. Who can say? But again, just an interesting thought. So I wonder what happened. What information spread? What memories were seen, discovered, or manipulated back then? If manipulated at all. Nothing about these figures strongly suggests the biblically religious fervor, angels and the ideas of faith as we see in the current day GODHUSK that we read. Nor is Obek in these memories, as far as we can tell, though they may already be established. But they also don't seem to share the same dedication to Scythian life or depictions of red as we see with the snakes or Sage V2, meaning that potentially this was back before there was any type of ideological belief fracturing or anything like that. A last thing to note is that mine units can be corrupted. A destroyed vessel has most of its mine units corrupted, losing a majority of the data there. These corrupted units can still be traded and contain some information, but they lose a lot of value as a result. Not only that, but equipping a corrupted unit is supposedly dangerous. So who knows what information is lost or missing out there? Some potentially found and driving vessels insane. And possibly a lot of what's occurring at the time in the guidebook of GODHUSK may be due to a partial sort of loop of events, with certain vessels running off the memories of actual people, influenced by past images, thoughts, and decisions, or driven mad. This also has me wondering about the cover of the book and the first few pages, where a very human-looking person hands something to the hand. Something that the hand has equipped on them, on the front cover, bearing a very strange symbol. I wonder if this is a mind unit in of itself, perhaps a third one, an entirely different unit, being the manufactured or program equivalent of a soul. Ghost in the Shell kind of stuff, you know? Maybe it's like free will, perhaps, is given by this person to allow the hand to pursue what they want. But along the way, the hand makes their own choice and their own path as a result. I don't quite know who this individual on the front is. I imagine it's an engineer or someone from the old days. If you feel like you know, please share below. Thanks everybody for listening. Just a heads up, with the holidays fast approaching, happy holidays to everyone, but I might not be uploading as regularly for a bit. Just letting you know, but hopefully get back as soon as I can. Keep covering GODHUSK, and I'd love to cover some other stuff as well. But hey, until then, I've been Haunted Picnic, and have a good time.